At this point, I've tried enough MIDI controllers to know what's good and what's really good. And this here is really good. And if you're a beginner, it has some features that I think you're really gonna like. And that's not to say that it's made for beginners. In fact, it might just be the most accommodating MIDI controller that I've ever tried. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you all about it. So this here is the Novation Luanchkey 37 Mk4, and it comes in a bunch of different sizes. There's the Mini, which has 25 keys. It's the one that I have here. And there's the Mini 37 and the normal size 37, which is the one that I have here on the table. And then there's also the 49 and the 61. The bigger ones have a few extra buttons and faders as well as weighted keys, but they are more or less the same keyboard, and anything that I say about this one will apply to every keyboard in this lineup. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Novation is a reputable company. So as far as build quality, I really don't think you have anything to worry about here. It's solid. In terms of design, it's more or less the same as the previous version with a few extra features. So up here, it's the pitch and modulation wheels, and right next to them, it's the octave up and down buttons. And then right up here is something new. So we didn't have a screen in the previous models, and now we have it. And then right underneath, we have the shift and settings button. We're going to talk a bit more about them later. And then under those buttons, there's the left and right, track left and right. Again, we're going to talk about those later. They work differently in terms of what you have selected. And right under them are a few exciting features. So it's the scale, chord map, arpeggiator, and fixed chord. And then moving to the right, we have an arrow up and down button, and they work differently depending on what you have selected, and we're going to talk about them a bit later on in the video. And then to the right of them, we have 16 performance pads, and what's nice is when you press shift, they actually control what mode you can have the keyboard on. So the first one here is plugin, mixer, send, transport, DAW, drum, user chord, and up pattern. And then the 8 pads here on the right are actually custom buttons, and you can set the keyboard to do whatever you want to do when you use these ones, and we're going to talk about that later on in the video. Right above the pads, there are 8 endless controllers. So this is really nice to see, because on the previous model, they were actually not endless. Now you can use them to control whatever you want to control without having to worry about the position of each knob. And then to the right of them, we have another pair of up and down buttons. And these ones control what you want to control with these rotary controls. Let's say if whatever you have has more than 8 controls, then you would use these to go up and down. So it's basically page up and down. And then below them, it's right here and then function. Going to talk a bit more about this later on in the video. And then these ones here are really self-explanatory. So it's capture MIDI, undo, quantize, and metronome. And then right below them, we have the transport controls. It's stop, play, record, and I believe this is loop or repeat. Some of these buttons on FL Studio work as intended and some don't, but keeping in mind that on FL Studio, to get anything close to this, you had to buy a keyboard that is specifically made for FL Studio. This is a huge W. The whole keyboard is powered by USB-C and only USB-C, and it has a port for the sustain pedal and MIDI out. Now let's talk about the features that I think you might like, and some of them are common in most controllers and some of them are unique to this controller, at least at the time of recording this video. The first one here is fixed chord, and how it works is you hold it down and then you play a chord, and once you let it go, the chord gets transposed based on the notes that you play. So again, you press it down and then play a chord, and then now once you let go, the chord is played on the keyboard using just one note. So and it gets transposed based on what note you're playing. So it's really cool, but one of my favorites is user chord. So how you activate it is you press shift and then press this pad here, and then now you're in user chord. And how it works is basically you hold down one of the pads and then you play a chord, and once you play it, you can use the pad to activate that one chord. This is really cool because a lot of us know how to program the chords on the DAW, but we don't actually know how to play them live. So this kind of solves that. So again, you hold down the pad and play whatever chord you want to play. And you don't have to play the notes at the same time. You can play them anytime and it records them. So the ones that I played here and the ones that I played here are all recorded. And if I press it, everything plays at once. This is really cool because instead of having to play the chords when you don't know how to, you can just use the pads to play the full chords. Something like this. Which is really nice. And if you want to delete any of these chords, you just press down function and then bam, it's gone. Another feature that I think is really cool is chord map. So this one here, and I believe this is going to make chord packs obsolete because it really solves any problem that was solved by chord packs. It's basically the same as the previous one. However, with this one, you don't need to play the chords yourself and you don't even need to know music theory to use it. But that's not to say that you don't need music theory. You still need it. You can't depend on something like this, but it is here to help you build chords without knowing music theory. So again, you just press chord map here and now you have a total of 8 chords that you can play. So, and these are bound to any scale that you select. So if you select the scale, so now we're on C major, any of these will be in the scale of C major. But you're not limited to just 8 chords because that would be very limiting. So you have a total of 40 in any scale that you select. So the first knob here selects the adventure, which you can think of folders. So it's a total of 5 folders. And then if you turn the right knob next to it, then it's explore. So this is like subfolders and it's a total of 8. So I'm on the first folder now and it's, but if I select the second folder, it's, and then let's go to the second or fourth subfolder and now it's, so it's different chords in every bank that there is here. But what's interesting is that the third knob here spreads out the chords. So let's go back to the first chords that are here. So it sounds like this. But if I turn this knob, then it makes it wider and then it sounds like this. So first sound like this, the wide preset, then the widest preset. So it sounds a little bit more exciting. And then the fourth knob is what I really like because it introduces some strum. So now you can make the chords sound like they're being played by a human being. So if you make them wider, maybe let's go to a different folder. This here will make it much easier to build chords without even knowing music theory, which again is really, really dope. And then I'm sure that you might have noticed that there's a gap in between these ones that we're using here and the 6 on the right. And these ones help you perform the chords in different ways. So the first one here is up, down, and up. So this is up, down, and when you press it, it basically arpeggiates the chords down. So and this is arpeggiating up. So and then the second two have different inversions of the same chords. So press it and then, and then the one here, it's the same thing but up now. So no, same thing but down, sorry. So and then this. And remember, this is the exact same chord, just played in different ways. And then the last two are very hard to explain, but they kind of split the chords. I'm not sure it's gonna make sense unless I show you. So this is what they sound like. And then moving on from that, there's the scale mode, which is common in a lot of keyboards. But with this one, it's a little bit different. So what it actually is, let me just activate it here. What it is basically you get to select a scale that you want to play in, and then the keyboard then maps out the keys so that you kind of cannot play any note that is not within that scale. So the knob here on the left select the actual root note. So we're going to select, let's just select F, and then the second one, select the kind of scale. So it's major, minor, and that kind of thing. Let's select F minor. And then the third knob, select the kind of scale mode that you want to be in. So the first is snap to scale, second is filter out of scale, and the third is easy scale. So we're going to start with the first, which is snap to scale. So what it basically is, whenever you press a key that is not in that scale, then it gets snapped to the nearest key that is in that scale. So any key that you press that is not within that scale gets shifted to a key that is. Then the second one, which is filter out of scale, is kind of, it's annoying, but it gets the job done. So basically, whenever you press a key that is not in that scale, it just doesn't play it. It plays silence, which is, it's really annoying, but I get that maybe some people might be into that kind of thing. Personally, I'm not, but this is what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. And then the last one, which is kind of my favorite, is easy mode. So basically it takes whatever keys that you have on that scale and it plays them on the white notes. So the black notes don't work. Whatever key you have selected, key and scale, they don't work. And then every key that is in that scale is now on the white notes. So it becomes really easy to it becomes really easy to play keys and chords without even knowing what you're playing, but you know that it's right. And then right below the scale button, we have the arpeggiator, which is probably the most common feature in all keyboards. And what it is basically gonna allow you to play like arpeggiator notes without actually doing this. So if you press it and then hold down any chord, then it arpeggiates it like this. And what's nice is you can change the BPM. And then you can introduce some swing. Let's just slow it down to maybe. And then this one here is kind of the rate that you can have on it. It's really cool, but at this point every keyboard has it and it's no longer something that we can get excited about, but we'd probably not be happy if they took it away, you know what I mean? But it's here and we're happy. And then on to the pad modes here. So if you press shift, you'll notice that they change color, and then if you press this one, it goes into plugin mode. And what it is, basically, it allows you to control whatever you have on that plugin. So if I run these knobs, as you can see on the screen, that everything is changing as well. And then if you change it to the mixer, it's kind of weird because I would have assumed that it uses everything that is on here on the mixer, but it turns out that it's actually the volume of the stuff that you have on the channel rack. I thought it was gonna be this. Maybe I'm using it wrong, I don't know. But as you can see, it's controlling the volume of the stuff that I have on the channel rack. And then as far as sends, I have not found it to do anything on FL Studio. It does nothing. Whenever you try to turn it, it says not used. And I'm assuming that this is something that's maybe on like Pro Tools or Ableton, but on FL Studio, it does nothing at all. And then if you move to transport, the first knob kind of scrubs through your track. As you can see, I'm scrubbing through the track right now. And then the second one says zoom in and out, but nothing happens on the screen. So I think this is something that works well on Ableton as well. And then drum is, you know, let's say you have an instance of FPC. Let me just load up FPC here. And then you can basically finger drum on it. So if you're into that kind of thing, then these are here. And then if you move over to the custom modes here, basically you can set them to do pretty much whatever you want to do. I have not used them yet, but I can imagine that they can have shortcuts or things that you want to do without having to go through the settings. Then you just select any one of these and you can make them do exactly that. Now, before getting the Mk4s, I was actually using the Novation FL Key Mini, and this offers the best integration with FL Studio. And if that's something that you're looking for, there isn't anything that's going to come close to this. However, if we're looking at the features, then this is better in every imaginable way. I mean, the FL Key still doesn't have a screen, but I've said this many times, the screen is not the most useful thing. It's very small, and when you're using a keyboard like this, you're already in front of a computer, so you don't really need it, but the fact that it's here is a good thing. But my biggest gripe with this one was that the encoders were not endless. So if you have it in this position, then it stays in this position. And it's been improved with this one where the encoders are completely endless. And now that they've fixed that, I have no issues switching from the FL Key Mini to the Mk4s, even though they're not perfect for FL Studio. I will have a link to all the keyboards as well as the included software, which is pretty extensive and kind of useful. Other than that, you will be seeing a lot of this keyboard on my channel as well as my social media, so get ready for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.